I'm always
I
sharing.
appreciate it.
Huh?
Sorry, I pressed the wrong video.
Nate, are we live?
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
What's good, everyone? Man, I thought we were starting. What's going on? What's good, everyone? It's Jonathan Mathis. Did you guys miss me? I'm back. It is Thursday, May 26th. How's everyone doing? I want to thank all the viewers out there for joining me and my special guest tonight. I have Chris D. Gonzalez here with me. I'm coming to you live from Southern California. He's over there in the Midwest in Indiana. What's up, Chris?
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be on the show, man. Been watching a lot of your stuff, so I'm excited to get on here and be able to talk with you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, and we got an action-packed show for everyone. We got a lot to get to. We got so much to talk about. We got Colin Kaepernick. He worked out for the Raiders. Apparently, that went well. We'll get into that. We'll also get into Kyrie Irving and the deal there in Brooklyn. Will he get locked into a long-term contract to stay in Brooklyn? We'll get into that. But first, man, we got to talk about these NBA playoffs, and I'm gonna let you have the floor first since you're the guest. Sometimes I get carried away. I start talking too much, and I forget that I got a guest on the show. So today, I'm gonna give you the floor first. And here's my question to you, and this is the question that I posed earlier today as well to a lot of people, and I wanted a reaction. Are the Miami Heat done against the Boston Celtics? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think the Heat are done. I think the injuries have caught up to the Heat. They looked like a tired and defeated team in that second half last night. The first half was a real good game. I thought we was actually going to get a close game in the playoffs for a change. It's like, okay, game might come down to the end, and then the second half, Boston just took that game over. But I mean, Boston's had some injuries, but they've been able to recover from their injuries a lot better than what Miami has so far. And without an effective Jimmy Butler, I think Miami's done. And Lowry can't go for 0 points in the game and only take 6 shots. He's supposed to be your number 2 on the team to Butler. And especially if Butler's hurting, Lowry has to carry it. And he didn't do enough last night for the Heat. And I think the Celtics are going to win it in 6.
Look, I know you saw my video this morning. I saw that you liked it on Facebook. And you know what I said about the Miami Heat. But I'm going to repeat myself on here. And I'm going to basically say what I said earlier in that video. Look, the Miami Heat are done. It's over. It's a wrap. They're going to Boston to pretty much lose a basketball game. Then they're going to fly back home. They're going to be, planning for a vacation somewhere, probably in South Beach. You're already on the beach. So there goes your vacation spot right there. Look, this Miami Heat team is exhausted. They're hurt. They have too many injuries. Jimmy Butler doesn't even look like himself. He didn't even look like himself last night. And entering the game, he didn't seem like he was affected by the injury. And he tried to play it off as if he wasn't hurt. But we all know that this man is not 100%, that he is ailing, that he's trying to tough it out, but can't play to his full strength because he is injured. And it is obvious he was not himself. We saw that last night. He was playing very slow, I thought. He was playing uncharacteristic. He was taking whatever the defense basically gives him. And, the Boston Celtics had this game under control, it seems, particularly in the second half when they really got going. I think this is a Miami team that ran out of fuel. You can't win a basketball game when your shooters were 0 for 23 on uncontested shots. I mean, that's crazy. You have some open looks and you miss that many shots. And, you look on the other end of the floor and the Boston scorers, they performed well in the second half. They got 2 wing players who can score over, the Heat's defenders. And I mean, this Miami team is done. And Bam Adebayo, I mean, he had one good game in the series, and then he disappeared. And what it shows you, Chris, is that he's not a primary offensive force for their team, and that's no disrespect to Bam Adebayo, because we saw what he did in 2020, right? And that's how he ended up with the big contract, right? Because he proved himself to the Miami Heat organization that he was worthy of a max contract. Well, he hasn't really played like a max player, sadly. What it is, I think, is when he meets tougher competition. He showed us time and time again that he is not good against elite centers in the league. He cannot establish a post presence. He doesn't play well at all under pressure, it seems, against bigger guys that match his size, like Al Horford, and Robin Williams, who's been sensational as well. This series is over. The backcourt of Lowry and Strus, if I'm saying his name correctly, have made one basket in 2 games. Just one basket in 2 games. That's not going to get the job done. And they went 0 for 15. That's the worst backcourt performance in 50-something years in the NBA. Look, this team is hurt. They're tired, and nobody can score the basketball. They're putting a lot on Jimmy Butler, and all you got to really do is put a big man on him and dare him to shoot. And that's what we've been seeing. They're not they're not running the guards at him. They're running the big man at him, because they know if they run the guards at him, he's going to slash right by the defenders, get to the basket, and that's just going to put him on the free throw line. Yep. So they're making it more difficult for him by mismatching and putting a sizable big man on him, instead of having guards chase him around and fouling him and sending him to the line. So, I mean, that's what we've seen in this series so far. I believe now, after what we've seen, is that the Celtics are a deeper team. They have matched the Heat's intensity, defensive intensity. Like I said moments ago, you have Williams. He's a great defender. He's on the all defensive team, and then you have his versatility. This man is blocking 3-point shots. He can play smaller players. He's jumping out of the lane to the corner, making things happen on the defense. You not only have Marcus Smart, but you have him playing well on defense. They got guys who can shoot threes, and they got guys who can get to the rack. So I think the series is over. And the Celtics, they didn't play at their best yesterday, particularly in the first half. The Celtics looked out of sync. They looked out of rhythm. They were out of sorts, and they pushed through. And check this out. They managed to hold the Miami Heat to just 80 points.
Yeah.
And still won the basketball game.
In that first half, the Celtics didn't play well. The Heat was in the game, and for some reason, the Heat came out in the third quarter and acted like all they could shoot was three-point shots. Where they were scoring by getting to the paint in the first half, the Heat was, and in the second half, for some reason, they flip-flopped it and went 6 for 45 or something like that from 3-point. They just kept checking up threes, and a lot of them weren't even close.
Right.
And I agree with you. We've learned that Adebayo can't play against physicality. If somebody gets physical with him, he goes away.
He can't score.
Orford and Williams have done a great job on him.
Yeah, he can't score in the paint with a bigger and more physical Celtics team. He just can't. And, that much has been on display. It best illustrates that this team doesn't match the size of the Celtics. And it's funny, man, because we talked about that. That's been the big knock on the Celtics, right? They were undersized. they were undersized. Well, they proved a lot of people wrong.
They're big in this series.
They're big in this series.
Yeah.
They're big, and I don't know what it is with Bam Adebayo. He just folds when someone is bigger than him, and he just has to play his game. But I don't expect him to have another monster performance. I don't expect him to duplicate that. When was that? Was that in Game 3 that he had that monster performance?
And what I think Williams didn't play, and
right.
I can't remember. I think Horford might have played, but Horford did a little bit. But it was mostly against the backup guys that he had a great game against.
And it looked so promising, right? We thought he had found himself again, that he kind of had rediscovered that his offense, because he had mustered so many points, and then he just goes back to being small again. I don't know what it is, but I feel like if Kyle Lowry's not going to play well, and here's the thing I think they should do. If Eric Spoelstra is smart, which he is, he has the basketball intellect. He's very brilliant. And I think
better coaches in the NBA.
One of the better coaches in the NBA. And this is what I think he should do, Chris. If he's smart, I would bench Kyle Lowry. Yes, I get it. He's he's been held as this, defensive, this disruptive defensive player. He has shown that he could lock down defenders, but he's not 100% healthy. He's banged up too. So he's not going to play defense at a consistent level. He's not going to stay in front of a guy and be up that pesky defender that you're expecting him to be. He's just not. So you bench him and you maybe put in Duncan Robinson and see how many points he can give you. You let him be the offensive playmaker, and let him score some points.
Give Oladipo some more minutes.
Give him some more minutes. Yes, because he's been lights out in this series.
And especially on defense. He's been getting a lot of steals.
Yes, both ends of the floor. He has looked simply brilliant, and it's been spectacular for the Heat. And it has, breathed some fire into this team. They need to do something if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. I don't think whatever they'll do, though, it will be enough to beat the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics is just too deep. They have shooters that can knock it down. They play incredible defense. And I think they figured out the Miami Heat. And they know what their weakness is, and that's Jimmy Butler. So they just take him away from the game, and you have no chance. Tyler Hero's not going to play. And Tyler Hero's that spark plug off the bench. You need Tyler Hero. You need Tyler Hero to be a big part of that offense. And now that he's absent, you don't have that. Because this is one of the greatest. Tyler Hero, to me, is one of the great half-court shot creators. And now you don't have that. So
he's the only shot creator they really have besides Butler. And Butler's not healthy.
Exactly. So where do you go from there? You don't have your guy that can check all the boxes. You don't have that six man coming off the bench. You're in trouble.
I agree with you. I think you give up a little bit of your defense and go with Robinson and see if he can get hot. Because if he gets hot shooting, it could be over.
It could change the personality of the series. Yeah. Absolutely. But I still think they've ran out of gas.
I do too.
I think they're tired. I think they're too banged up right now to even compete with the Boston Celtics. Now, they had a healthy Jimmy Butler, a healthy Tyler Hero. That's a different story. Then we'll be sitting here talking about the Heat possibly having a chance to force a Game 7 to make things more interesting. But I don't see it happening. I think this series is over. But, man, we're going to move on to the Mavericks and the Warriors now, man, because this is another big series too. Yes, I understand Dallas has Luka. I get it. They're confident. They still are firm believers that anything is possible. What are your thoughts about this series? And do you think the Warriors have what it takes to wrap it up tonight? I believe they have started already. I don't know the score.
I'm actually watching it. I'm watching it right now. It's still in the first quarter, but no, I think Warriors are going to close it out tonight. I think the Mavs lost their biggest chance to make this series interesting when they blew that 19-point lead in game 2. If they'd have won that game, and then I think this series might have been a lot more interesting. I think the Warriors underestimated the Mavs last game. I think they came out thinking that they had the Mavs down and out, and that they weren't going to come out and play hard. Mavs came out and played hard, and the Warriors went and focused. I think the Warriors are going to take care of business tonight. And I think it's going to be Warriors and Celtics in the finals, and I think that's going to be an awesome series to watch.
Yeah, that's going to be a great series to watch because you got defense against a high-flying offense.
I think we'll get some close games. I don't think it's going to be all these blowouts.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see all these lopsided games because, man, I'm telling you, man, some nights I've been falling asleep on these games. That's how boring and dull they have been. And it's weird. That's another thing, man. Hasn't that been strange? Hasn't it been odd that, either the Celtics are blowing out the Heat or the Heat are blowing out the Celtics? Yeah. I feel like that's what the storyline of this series has been. Blowout victories for each team.
Most blowouts, and I forget how many, I think in the history of the NBA, this is the most blowouts we've had in a playoff.
More than I care to count. I've been wanting to see some more competitive basketball. And like you said, we're going to get that if we see the Warriors and the Celtics in this NBA Finals. I think that's one to watch. I think, they're two big market teams, and I think a lot of people are definitely going to tune in. I think it is definitely what the NBA wants. The NBA wants the Celtics in the finals because
Warriors are up by 2. Warriors up by 2, 19-17 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
Okay, so see, the Warriors came out firing early. The Warriors are not going to lose this game. Look, here's a statistic for you. The Warriors are 8-0 at home.
Yep.
You think they're going to let the Dallas Mavericks walk into their building and beat them? The Warriors are focused. They're locked in tonight. They're well experienced. They have a bunch of guys that's been here before, and experience kind of trumps everything.
Especially in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I think they're poised to get back to the NBA Finals and try to do it all over again and win another championship. But you're not beating them tonight. And I get it. I know Luka says he believes his team can win. Who wouldn't say that?
What's he supposed to say?
Yeah, what is he supposed to say?
I think we suck. We're going to lose the next game.
I think we're going to lose this game. We're not that good. The Warriors is a far better opponent than us. We're just gonna take our ball and go home. We're gonna say hello, and then we're gonna say good night. See you next year. No, you're not gonna do that. You're gonna have faith in your team and believe. The Mavericks coming into the series, though, they indicated that they have a psychological edge, and I think a lot of that is wishful thinking. Again, you're gonna believe that. Jason Kidd said they had to switch to zone defense because they couldn't defend him. I know you heard that. I think it was Max Kleber says that the pressure is on Golden State. No, actually the pressure is on Dallas now. The pressure. There is a little bit of pressure on Golden State. And I say that because they're the favorites to win the series, right? Yeah. They have all the weapons in place. You have Steph Curry. You have Draymond Green, one of the best defenders in the game. You have Klay Thompson when he wants to show up and play. And you have the emergence of Jordan Poole, who's a bit cocky, a bit arrogant.
But man, he has some handles, man.
but he has showcased some amazing things on the basketball court. And the skill set is, I don't want to say it's identical to Steph Curry, but it's drawing some comparisons.
And then
drawing some comparisons.
That's not counting the young guys coming off the bench have been playing well. Kuminga's played well.
Right.
So
but here's the thing: we still got a lot of ball game left to play, and Luka is phenomenal in elimination games.
Yep.
This guy does not like going home. With his back against the wall, he performs better.
This
You
guy,
know,
this game's going to come down to the others,
right?
or the other guy, because Luka's going to do his part, or the other guy's going to step up and hit some shots.
And he shoots the ball efficiently. He shoots the ball efficiently. Hey, what's up, Damon? What's up, Damon? Warriors have a history of choking in the playoffs, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if they have missed a step or make a mistake and give the Mavs the momentum. Well, a few years ago, did they blow a 3-1 lead? And Dallas has come back from some deficits in the past. I don't think that happens tonight, though, Damon. I don't see that happening tonight. I think this Warriors team is just too good. They're too powerful. They have all the offensive firepower. They have different guys that can score and beat you in a variety of ways. You know, this is not the Memphis Grizzlies they're playing. This is a Dallas Mavericks team that if Luka's playing well, not all the time his supporting cast steps up. If other guys are shooting the ball well around him, then they have a chance. So he's going to have a lot of help from his supporting cast like he did the other night. Reggie Bullock showed up after having a scoreless night. You know, I felt Finley Smith was huge for them. And not only was he huge knocking down some big threes, he knocked down some big threes from downtown, but he was also good on defense. And he helped facilitate things defensively. You know, so that was the difference for Dallas Mavericks and the Dallas Mavericks, and that's why they were able to save their season, because their threes had started falling down. It was raining threes in Dallas. It even was raining outside. That the game was delayed because there was a leak from the ceiling or something like that.
Yep.
You
and
know,
now you're relying on them other guys to shoot like they did at home this game.
Right. And it's becoming to the point where it's just too much to ask of Luka to keep having 40-plus point nights or 30-plus points night. That's going to make your star player exhausted. He's going to be tired by the end of this series, even if they do somehow pull off this miracle that some people obviously believe in. But here's the thing. I don't care what the Golden State Warriors play. They can play zone defense effectively. They can play man-to-man defense effectively. They can run people at you, you know, but and they can run people at Luka and force him to pass the ball. And if they force him to pass the ball, that makes other people on that Dallas Maverick roster have to get involved.
Yep.
You know, so I think the series is over. I think the Warriors close the door tonight at home.
And right now, the Warriors are doing a good job of making Luka shoot jump shots. So far in the first quarter, they're not letting him just get to the rim. They're making him settle for mid-range jump shots. And if he hits those, you can settle for that.
Right, and you can't allow him to go to the rack because he's going to get to the free throw line and he's going to knock down those free throws. You know, and you know he could light you up from anywhere on the floor, though. That's what's so amazing about Luka.
Golden State's biggest weakness is turnovers. That's what gets them in trouble and actually keeps some teams in games is because they get to turn the ball over so many times.
Right, and if they do that, then yeah, there's a possibility Dallas can pull off another upset. But I just don't see that happening.
I don't see it. Oh, I don't see it happening. I think this series is over tonight. The other series is over tomorrow, and then we have the final start on Thursday next week, I believe.
Right, exactly. So now, man, we're gonna move on. And this is where it gets a little fun because, you know, I like talking about Kyrie Irving. You know, he's one of my favorite players, but as we all know, he can be a bit of a distraction too, you know, and sometimes he makes it all about him. And sometimes you get that feeling that he thinks it revolves around him. So I'm going to ask you this, man. Should the Nets be fully committed to him? Although he has not been fully committed to the Nets. Should they give him a long-term contract? Should they lock him up in the near future?
If I was a GM, I wouldn't, just because I'd want to sign him to a 1-year deal because you don't know how committed he is. Now, if I knew for certain I was going to get a committed Kyrie and a Kyrie that was going to show up and play, he'd be worth it in a heartbeat. But over the last 7 years, I think he's only played in he hasn't played over 65 games in a season. And then, of course, he didn't play last year, which, hey, if people have it's the people's rights to decide what you want to put in your body. So I'm not going to hold that against them too much other than, you can't, then at the end of the year, you can't complain because your team doesn't have chemistry when you were part of the problem, why they didn't have chemistry. But, if I'm the Nets, I try to give him to a 1-year deal. I wouldn't sign him to a big deal unless he can somehow prove to you that he's fully committed. Because a fully committed Kyrie is one of the best point guards in the league. But we haven't seen that guy for a while now. So
I'm with you. I agree with you. I would sign him to a short-term deal only because I don't know, for one, I don't know his mental capacity. 2, I don't know if he's fully committed to playing basketball. He wants to show up to a basketball game when he wants to show up. If the game is scheduled for 5, he wants to show up at 8 o'clock. If a game is scheduled for 12 in the afternoon, he might want to show up at 3. I need a guy that's going to be fully committed. And, hey, we all know how gifted of a player he is. No one's ever denied how good of a guard he is. He's the most skilled guard in the league. Like I always say, when he's 100% focused and when he is, perfecting his craft on the basketball court, because he is a crafty player, he's unstoppable.
Yeah.
He's unstoppable. Clearly unstoppable. One of the best guards in the league that you'll ever see. He has great ball handling skills. He can shoot from the outside. He's even won a championship with LeBron, and he was a big part of why LeBron won that championship in Cleveland and why LeBron was able to deliver on his promise in Cleveland. Let's get that straight. Let's keep that real because that is the honest truth.
Oh, yeah,
Kyrie Irving
he was one to hit the big shots at the end of the games.
Right. He was instrumental to that team's success. He was a vital piece of that Cavaliers team. How often people forget. And I get it, the vaccination status, his personal beliefs. I get that. I'm not a man to sit here and hold those type of things against you. But what I want your effort. I want you to give it your all. And if you're going to be part of my team moving forward, well, I need to know if you're going to be fully committed or not. I need to know if you're going to, be obligated to playing basketball. That's fine. If you want to be an activist for the Black community, I support that. I applaud you for that. If you don't want to get the vaccine, I'm one of those guys that, hey, if you don't want to do anything, don't do it at all. If that's your belief, that's your belief.
Yep, okay? That's how I am too.
But I want to see what I care about is what you do on the basketball court. And if you're going to make my team better. And if you could be a valuable piece to my team. And if you could do that, then that's all that matters to me. I think Kyrie Irving is a great player. I think you might want to keep him around. But here's the thing, too. Who else will you give the max contract to?
Yeah.
You're definitely not giving it to Patty Mills. Who else are you going to give the max contract to? Kyrie Irving is the only guy you're going to pay a ton of money. So I think in the end, when it's all said and done, and I know we agree on a short-term deal, but I think by the time it's all said and done, he's going to get the big contract.
Oh, he probably will.
And I missed Damien's question. I missed his question. Who would you rather have, a player who shows up half a season or a player that doesn't even show up at all?
I don't want either one of them.
You want to take that?
Yeah, I wouldn't want either one of them. I want a player that's going to be there fully committed.
I do too. I want a player that's going to be fully committed because that's why the Brooklyn Nets had the situation that they had in the playoffs. That's why they couldn't get to the next round. And that's why their season came to an end early. It was an early postseason exit for them because they didn't really have that time to gel together. They really didn't have that time to learn each other, and we couldn't really evaluate their talent because Kyrie Irving was missing home games, excuse me, due to his vaccination status.
And then
So
you have
he couldn't be
your
on
other
the
guy
floor
Ben
with his
Simmons,
teammates.
and you have your other guy Ben Simmons that didn't play at all. So you had one player missing half the games and one player not playing at all. And Simmons would have made a big difference on the defensive end for him.
Thank you. And Kyrie Irving talked about cohesion, and chemistry. Well, a big part of why that it wasn't there is because you weren't there.
Yep.
How can you develop chemistry and cohesion when you're not available? The best ability is availability. And you took some nights off and you decided that you weren't going to play basketball, and in the end, it was a detriment to your team. And that's why your Nets didn't make it to the next round. Look, Kevin Durant was tired.
Yep.
He was trying to drag the team to the next round, doing everything he can, put so many bodies on his back till he just dropped to the ground and couldn't do it anymore.
And just not that, he had to carry him there at the end of the season just to make sure they got into the playoffs.
Right.
So, and then by the time they got toward the end of that series, he was, like you said, he was done. He was wore out.
Exactly.
He was doing everything he could, but man, they got a lot of talent on that team to get put out like that. But
they did. And
that shows if you're
right.
It shows if you're not all in, you're not going to win a championship. You
Right.
can't be halfway in. You got to have everybody on the team committed.
And unfortunately, they didn't. But hey, who else you gonna pay, and who else is really available on the market? So Kyrie Irving is definitely staying in Brooklyn. I don't see him going anywhere else.
Well, I think KD still wants Kyrie there, so I don't see him going anywhere else either. Because you get rid of if KD wants him there, and you get rid of him, then you might lose KD too. Yeah,
absolutely. Now you know what? We're gonna shift over to the NFL now. We got some football. We got a little football conversation here. And what I want to ask you, Chris, what I want to ask you is about Colin Kaepernick. Now, he worked out with the Raiders. Everything went well. It's his first workout in 6 years. Talk to me a little bit about this, man. I want you to go in depth with this. I want you to talk a little bit about this because I feel like Colin Kaepernick deserves a second chance. And if he's for real about playing football, if he's serious, I think he deserves another shot.
Yeah, for one, if he's going to be committed to it, and for two, if he still can athletically do the things at a level that he can play. Of course, because we haven't seen it for 6. But if he can do that, I definitely hope he gets a chance. I hope the Raiders didn't just do this for some kind of publicity stunt.
Yeah.
But the problem is the Raiders have also got themselves in a bad situation, though, because now if you don't sign him, even if you were serious about it and you brought him in, because they've been keeping everything close to wraps, really haven't said much about what happened at the workout. They're keeping it all closed. Well, then if you don't sign him, you're opening up for media and a lot of people to say that you never intended on even giving them a chance at all. Even if they maybe, so if that happens, I think they're going to be forced to put the workout out because they're going to get attacked if they don't. If they just don't sign them and then try not to show the workout and just say, "Oh, we didn't think he was good enough," people are going to bury him. So I think they put themselves kind of in the situation. So I think that they thought that he was capable of doing it, or they wouldn't even have brought him in for a workout because they're taking a chance as an organization of fans turning against them as well. If fans think it was just a token workout instead of actually giving them a real chance. But I wish they would show more information about how he did at the workout. I mean, if he could play close to his ability that he had 6 years ago, he's better than some of the quarterbacks that are in the NFL. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But is he going to be fully committed? Is
right.
he? I mean, and how much, if any, has his skills diminished with not playing for 6 years? How long is it going to take him to get back into a rhythm and being able to read defenses at a high speed again and stuff like that?
Yeah, and they're keeping that hush hush. They've been really, really quiet about that. They
I was
haven't
looking
said
for stuff
much.
earlier, couldn't find hardly nothing
Right.
on it.
And yeah, that's right. And they haven't really said much. They haven't really given us an update on what's really going on. And I hope their intent is not to just use him to be on the practice squad. And then next thing you know, they're releasing him. I hope that's not the case. Like I said, it's his first workout in 6 years. Nobody has given him a shot. I hope he makes it. I really do. I'm cheering for him. I have a lot of hope for him, and I'm with you. I hope this is not a publicity stunt, because people have passed judgment that he was a distraction in the past, and maybe the Raiders could be bringing him in to cause that distraction, to take away from the allegations against Davis. You hear about these allegations against Davis. We had the John Gruden email scandal.
Getting ready to go to court, so we're getting ready to start hearing about that a lot more.
So I hope this is not to divert attention away from the more important things that's been, hovering over this franchise for a long time now. It seems a dark cloud that's been hovering over this franchise, and now you decide that you're going to bring in Colin Kaepernick to try to, have that spotlight following him now. So that's my biggest concern with it all. I hope he's good enough to play. I hope he is able to learn the playbook, develop once again, be able to read defenses, and I hope he can make a come in and make a difference. But like I'm with you. I hope he's not being used to cover up the Raiders' allegations against Davis and because of Gruden's email scandals. And how do you feel about that too?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. But another thing I wanted to add was, I hope even if you don't get us, say the Raiders end up don't signing him, hopefully this will open the door for other teams to bring him in,
right,
and work him out and see what he has. Because now that first team has done it, so I think now more teams might invite him to work him out and see what he looks like. Unless the only way I don't see that happening is if the media just goes too crazy on the Raiders for not signing them, then that might scare other teams to taking a chance of bringing them in to work out. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I'm hoping if he doesn't get signed, they come out, they tell the right reason why they didn't get signed, and then he gets maybe get an opportunity somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I'm hoping. But I'm hoping that, because it's sad to say, but the way the public reacts affects decisions, because hey, that's how they make all their money. So I hope there ain't a big backlash against the Raiders if they don't sign him for some reason. That way, other teams won't be scared to give him a chance.
Right, and you hit it on the nail right there. I like everything you just said right there. This can really open doors for him. This can be this could be a way to shed some positive light on him, and hopefully he'll get another opportunity. We're going to shift over to baseball now. And I know you like baseball, because baseball is one of my favorite sports. I love baseball. Actually, in fact, I grew up loving baseball before I grew up loving basketball and football. Baseball was a tradition in our household. That's what my dad loved. He loved the World Series. He loved October baseball. But here's a big question I have for you, and this has to do with race, and no, it's a positive discussion. It's a discussion to be had, because we continue to have a dwindling number of African American players in baseball. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Why is that? Why is there I thought this would be just an interesting conversation. Why is there such a small percentage of African American players in baseball? And I think I have the answer to it, but I want to let you talk first. I want to hear from you, and what are your thoughts on this?
I think one of the biggest reasons, there's a few reasons, but one of the biggest reasons, I think the biggest reason is you don't have as many of the African American players that are trying to play now that had what you just mentioned, how you got into baseball with your dad, your grandparents. It was a family thing. Same thing with me. Baseball was the first sport I ever watched live. I went a bunch of Cincinnati Reds games with my dad and my grandpa. And I've been a Reds fan ever since. But a lot of the African American community, they don't grow up watching baseball like that anymore because you don't have as many older players from back then because of stupid rules and stuff that should have never been in place. But you don't have as many of the older people that can carry that tradition on onto the younger generations in the African American as you do in other races. And it sucks, but that's one of the reasons. And the other reason is baseball is kind of an expensive sport to play because you got to have your equipment and stuff. So a lot of kids from the inner cities, which is sometimes unfortunately is some of your African American youth. I mean, I grew up in the inner city, and I actually helped run a baseball league I've done it for about 15 years. My dad ran a youth league for free for all the inner city kids to play baseball. So he had like 300 kids that were playing baseball and didn't pay a dime. But so I mean, we done a lot with that. But like now he retired from that, and there's not hardly any leagues going around anymore. So the kids don't get exposed to it as much anymore as well. I think is also a big problem.
Yeah, I think that's a huge problem. For me, this is what I think the issue is too, and the core issue to why there's a small percentage of African American players in the game, and it seems like it's declining each year. By the way, baseball has not done enough to build interest in the inner cities and the urban communities. That's a big problem, and families in poverty-stricken neighborhoods, they just don't have the financial means. Like you said, it's a very expensive sport. Basketball, all you really need is shoes and a ball, and you could make a bucket out of a hoop, and you could shoot around. Baseball, you need the gloves, you need the bat, you need if you're a catcher, you need the protection.
You just made a great point. Real quick. Yeah. In basketball, you need the ball and some shoes. In baseball, you have to need all that equipment you just mentioned, but you also need another person because to practice anything in baseball, you almost have to have another person other than you can do. There's some throwing nets you can throw into.
Right.
But for baseball, when you're a kid, you need that mentor to kind of teach you about baseball because baseball's you're not by yourself like you are in a lot of other sports.
Exactly. And I think it also has to do with generation as well. With this generation isn't inclined to the sport of baseball for the simple fact that it's a slower game, and it's a sport that's very unattractive to a lot of these younger folks. You don't hear a lot of young folks talk about baseball. They talk more about basketball and football. They're all basketball and football. And baseball gets left out. Baseball and baseball is also in a dark place too. A lot of these players don't want to pursue the sport because of what's going on in Major League Baseball, how the sport is handled, how things are handled within the sport. You see all you hear all these stories about steroids. Well, steroids has kind of gotten past us, but then you hear about all these cheating scandals, players being labeled for cheating and all that kind of things. And I don't think a lot of these young Black players want to be associated with that as well. I think that could have a factor on it too. And I think a lot of these young kids, they just like football, man. It's more action. They like the contact. They like getting hit to the ground.
Another thing, the road to the pros in baseball is probably the hardest out of any other sport too, because the way the minor league system is set up. Because they treat the minor league guys terrible.
Right.
I mean, they don't get hardly no pay. A lot of them have to work another job while they're playing minor league ball just to get by.
Right. And that makes it very, very difficult as well. You're right. You're absolutely right. What's the score of the Warriors game?
49-38 Warriors with 5 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Warriors by 11.
I mean, it's still plenty of time. It's still a lot of time left.
Warriors are doing good, making Dallas settle for jump shots, not letting them just drive to the basket. And the Warriors aren't turning the ball over like crazy like they do sometimes. That's what gets them in trouble usually. And that's what's gotten Boston in trouble the most. If you look, Boston's outplayed Miami most of that series, but turnovers.
And that has been both of those teams' Achilles heel.
Yep.
Before we get out of here, man, I saw the score earlier, and we're staying on baseball here. I saw the score earlier I saw the final score of the Cincinnati Reds game, and I know you're a Cincinnati Reds fan, so I know you're going through a rough time right now being a Reds fan. But when I saw the score, I nearly spit out my drink because I was in the middle of drinking something, and I nearly spit out my beer because I couldn't believe the score, 20-5. They put up 20 runs against the Chicago Cubs. Your thoughts? Do you feel a sense of relief? Is this the turning point for a struggling Reds team? What are your thoughts? Because I feel like whenever Hunter Green pitches, they have a chance. And the days that he doesn't pitch, they don't have much of a chance.
Love my Hunter Green.
Nice. I love it.
That's from the Reds A-ball team in Dayton.
Oh, yeah. He's a Southern California kid. He's from L.A.
Yeah. But it did give me a big sense of relief that they won. I don't know if it's going to turn their whole season around. But my fiance is a big Chicago Cubs fan.
Oh, Lord.
The Cubs won the first 2 games of that series. So I was hearing it all week. Yeah. Well, then the Reds won the last 2 games. So I'm actually waiting on her to get home from work. I'm gonna get her about.
I know the house is probably divided when those 2 teams are playing for a little bit.
Baseball's the only sport she pays attention to. Is baseball, and of course her favorite team has to be one of the Reds' biggest rivals, the Cubs.
Okay, see, that's kind of like my fiance. The only sport she really, really pays attention to is baseball. She's getting into basketball a little bit more. She's into football because her family are Raider fans, but it's mostly baseball for her. But yeah, I wanted to ask you about the Reds, man. And what are the Reds going to have to do?
Man, well,
I think they're going to have to fire David Bell. I think management is a big problem for that organization.
Then you get David Bell, and I didn't really even realize this the other day. David Bell's dad is one of the top advisors to the Reds GM. That needs to stop. But because last year we had a good team last year. We had a good team that was underachieving, didn't achieve what they should have. And then we blow up the whole team, get rid of Castellanos, Suarez, all of our pitching. It didn't make
all your good players.
It didn't make no sense why we blew that team up. We had some injuries last year and was just a little inconsistent. I'd have gave it another shot. If I'd done anything, I'd have changed the manager. I've been saying Bell needs to be out there for like the last 3 years.
Yeah, he should have been gone a long time ago. And when his firing do come, it's belatedly, but he should have been fired a while back.
I didn't like the David Bell hire.
It
didn't make no sense. If you were going to hire him, you should have just kept the guy you had. If you weren't going to go after one of the bigger name managers, his hiring just didn't make no sense at the time.
I mean, how worse can the season get? You lose a game without giving up a hit. Hunter Green was pitching
no hitter and lose the game.
Also no hitter, and you still lose the game. I mean, how worse can it get for a Cincinnati Reds and their fans?
I was sick. That was when I was sick that week. And I fell asleep and I woke up and saw that we lost the game, but we pitched a no-hitter. I couldn't believe it. I called my dad. So wait, did I read that right? That can't be right. Not even that. They've won 1 game out of their first 23 games. They beat the Braves first game of the season. Didn't win it again after 23 more games.
Misery.
And I've watched all of them, but probably maybe 2. I sit here every day and watch the Reds play.
That's got to be painful.
Oh yeah,
it's got to be hard. Someone in that front office must be taking advice from Billy Beane because he does the same thing over in Oakland. They have a fire sale every other year, it seems, or every 3 years they have a fire sale in Oakland, and that's why. And then they wonder why they can't sell out the damn stadium because fans are tired of it. They don't want to keep, supporting a team that dumps all its talent. I mean, it's the same situation in Florida with the Miami Marlins. And Derek Jeter has
That's why Jeter
ownership
left.
of a franchise.
Yep.
He can't take ownership of a franchise. I'm sad to say, but I knew you as a Reds fan. I had to talk about the Reds before we get out of here,
Yeah.
because I know how big of a fan you are. I'm a big fan of Joey Votto. Joey Votto is one of my favorite players. He's a veteran. He's been there a long time. And I mean, since he got that big, massive contract years back, I feel like his production saw a massive drop.
Yeah.
He was a power hitter when he first came into the league.
Yep.
The man had a good eye. He was hitting everything out of the ballpark.
He hit the ball good yesterday, but he's been struggling for a few years now.
He's been struggling, but I think you shouldn't have gave up Nick Castellanos. You should have re-signed him. He's one of the best double hitting machines in baseball.
If you were going to lose one of them guys, I hate to say it because I love Votto, but it should have been Votto because he's the older guy. He's coming closer to the end of his year.
Right.
Should have kept Castellanos and Moustakas together.
Right.
And filled that lineup up. And then kept your pitching. You had good pitching. There was no reason to get rid of Sonny Gray.
And there was no reason to get rid of Jesse Winker either, right?
Or Jesse Winker.
Because he had
Suarez before Winker
last year.
Yeah,
he was on fire last year.
Yeah, I didn't understand it at all because I was thinking after last season, like, okay, Reds are going to be good this season, and they just kept losing to everybody and not signing nobody. And it's like, no, we're not. We're going to be terrible again. And now we're the worst team in the league right now.
It's David Bell's. I put a lot of the blame on David Bell. I think his time is up in Cincinnati. I don't think he can manage really past the fifth inning. No. He misuses his arms in his bullpen. He doesn't really know how to juggle his lineup. He doesn't know how to put together a lineup. That's another problem.
He's in a big hurry. He's in a big hurry to get to his bullpen.
You're like scratching your head, like, why? Like, why is this your lineup?
I think it's because he just went solely to analytics and he's basically just a puppet and they're telling him what to do.
Yeah, like most baseball managers nowadays, it's all analytics. And I feel like this with analytics. I feel like analytics is ruining the game of baseball, sadly.
If they would use them right, it wouldn't, but they don't use it right. Use it as a tool. Don't use it as the all that it's everything that you have to go by. Use it as a tool to get to your decision, but don't just go all by analytics. In baseball, you have to go by momentum, the feel of the game, who's up the bat, who's pitching. There's a lot of different things that go into it than just a number.
Yeah, and it's a numbers game, but you can't always go with the guy who has the numbers. Sometimes you have to go with the guy with the hot bat that's swinging the hot bat, And that's how I would, if I was a manager of a baseball team, that's what I would do.
Or if a pitcher's pitching good, if a pitcher's pitching good, just because he's getting ready to start facing that lineup for the third time through, don't take him out.
Exactly.
That's his biggest problem. He's in a hurry to get that starter out.
Exactly.
It don't matter what inning it is. If they're getting ready to face a batter for the third time, he takes the starter out. And it's like, why? He's rolling. There's no reason to take him out. He's only thrown 80 pitches in the game. He still has a good 20 pitches left.
Hey, I share my frustration, my friend, because we have a manager out here in Los Angeles, and his name is Dave Roberts, and he does some of the most craziest stuff with the
ball. My mom's a big Dodgers fan. That's her favorite team.
Oh, man.
Dad's a Reds fan. My mom's a Dodgers fan.
Oh, wow. Yeah, some of the moves he makes in that bullpen is...
Like you said, head scratching. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I sitting here telling my girlfriend, like,
what are you doing? It's like
I could do a better job managing this team than David Bell. I'll tell her that all the time.
Yeah, it's a WTF move for sure. It really is. And, it's like, why did you bring that pitcher in this moment? Like, there's times that he used Julio Urias in playoff games in high leverage situations. And I'm like, why? You're just gonna make dude's arm tired. You're gonna need him for the upcoming series. It never fails, though. It always happens. And I think that's what happened with Max last year when we had Max.
Yep.
That's what happened. He had a dead arm. He had a dead arm in the series against the Braves. Couldn't even pitch because Dave Roberts used him for Game 5 against the Giants. And he was already battling fatigue. So
yeah, I love Max Scherzer, man. I love watching him pitch.
And he's dealing with some injuries of his own right now.
Yep.
In New York. I feel like New York, I don't believe in curses, but I feel like the Mets are cursed because every time they get a damn player, he gets injured.
Oh, I know. And the Mets have a decent team this year too, so that even sucks more.
Yep.
They're finally starting to turn it around over there.
Yep.
They have, man. It'd be nice just because the Mets haven't been good for a long time.
No, they haven't. They've been a laughing stock of New York. But we'll see.
I'd like to see them do better than the Yankees, just because I'm not a Yankees fan. So I'd like to see the Mets do all right.
Yankee fans don't tell a Yankee fan that. Well, might be watching, by the way. But hey, Chris, man, it's been fun. Thanks for being my guest tonight. Thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure to have you on, and we'll do this again, my friend. We'll definitely be back on again to talk more sports. I'll have you on. It was a lot of fun. Tell the audience out there where they can reach you and where they can find you. And for those who follow my fan page and my YouTube channel, they know who you are because I always put your stuff out there, your content, I always share it. But tell everyone on here who's watching where they can find you and what you do and share your stuff.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me on. I've really enjoyed it. Come on, just give me a call or message me. I'll come on anytime. You can find me in the morning at 10 a.m. Eastern on ASAP in the morning on the ASAP All Sports All Plays. Also, I'm on the I host the afternoon show at 1 p.m. on ASAP, the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. And then you can also find me on my own channels, Gonzo Sports Room, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're live every day at 3 with Easy Money, a sports betting show. And that show's also live on the ASAP Sports Network as well.
Great
and show. I also have a sports talk show I do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern time, more of a late night show that I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and that's on my Gonzo Sports Room page, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. But please like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you're checking out this show as well. It's a good show. I share your stuff a lot. I know you see me on there, so
thank you.
It was a pleasure coming on and joining you.
Hey, it was a pleasure as always. And to all our viewers out there, please hit the subscribe button. Follow us on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up, man. And don't only give us a thumbs up, but share our content. Put us out there. Let our voices be heard in your home, in your car, wherever you may be. We really appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your night to hang out with us. We are grateful for you guys, and we're just a bunch of guys who love talking sports. This is what we do. We have a lot of fun with it, and I just want to thank all the viewers out there. Once again, this was a great show. Thank you, Chris, once again. And you guys have a good night. I'll see you guys next Thursday for another episode of Speaking with Judgment. We are checking out. Enjoy the games. Peace.
Get ready. This summer, the Arena League Sports is on ASAP Network. Tune in live on either the Tiki Live or Roku app, as well as your smart home TV.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
We're still live?